minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. Hey, it is your post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. We are setting that tone, man. Ready to rock and roll for a whole nother one. And boy, oh boy, it's fun watching all the news headlines right now. The crumbling of the Democrat Party, the getting back to orderly business, and I say that in air quotes, in Washington, D.C. What can Congress look like? Can we actually get the rest of the appropriations process done before the end of January? That will be the age-old question, and that's where we're going to go to here in the program in just a little bit. First and foremost, welcome into the show. It is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, broadcasting right here in the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country. So many great radio affiliates doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the show. First, before we go any further, of course, have to say Happy Veterans Day. One of the greatest holidays of the year, and it's a great way for us to celebrate. I think now we are almost, I'm ready. I know we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have New Year's. I'm pretty much ready to just start celebrating America's 250th birthday. Earlier, was it this week? Was it Monday? I believe it was, yesterday, the 250th birthday of the Marines. So happy birthday to them, which is awesome. And now we have Veterans Day, celebrating all the great veterans across the nation. That's exciting too. And we have to say and give tribute to all those great veterans and what they've done for this nation, which I just messed up my audio because I wanted to play a little tribute for you here.
Veterans Day is proof that not only courage, but the belief in America is contagious. Over 42 million Americans have worn the uniform. And it shows that every generation produces men and women that raise that right hand and say, here am I, send me. But, it gives me more meaning to what Reagan said back when he was president. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, it must be preserved, and it must be handed off. And that is handed off like a baton from generation to generation.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have to remember now because we have kind of let it slip a little bit. We won the election last year. We're starting to battle again in the great awakening of the fact of, oh my, we have a political party in this nation that has now embraced socialism. That is now a socialist party. They've always kind of sort of been but now they really are full-fledged and are openly embracing it, which is why we see the crumbling of the Democrat side of the aisle. We will get to all that in just a bit, but we want to kick off the show right out of the gate today.
What's trending today?
With our guests on the program. I love having him on. It's been way too long since we have had him on the show, and today was the perfect day to do it. Author of so many books, including his latest, Americans Who Made America, 19th Century Growth, Division, and Reunification. Really happy to have back on the program the man himself, Mr. Richard Battle. Richard, how are you, my friend?
Good afternoon, Andy. Thank you so much for having us back with you. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, man, it's great to have you on, and I love these types of holidays because this, to me, patriotic holidays, man, they always get the feel-goods going, and now that we're so close to celebrating 250 birthdays of this nation, that's really exciting. We need to talk about the veterans, what they've done for this nation, and even with your book, The Americans Who Made America, whether you've been in military service or whether you've just been a hard-fighting American all throughout this time, building this nation, preserving this nation, fighting for this nation, it's in our lifeline. It's in our bloodline. It's what we're all about, isn't it?
Well, I believe the American-do spirit's what made this country, and today's the day we honor veterans, but we also support the current military, but we need to add encouraging our young people because they are the future military, and we used to learn things like that at school with some parental support. But today the schools, unfortunately, aren't teaching the love of country and our exceptionalism like they did before. So there's so much more responsibility on parents and grandparents, which is why that I do some of the things that I do.
Yeah, it's a really great point. Do you think that we are seeing the reforms in the military that we need to see? We've seen a record increase right now in record number of people that are enrolling in the military, which is good to see. Before that, though, before the Trump administration started focusing on this issue, we saw record lows of people that were actually being recruited into the military, whether it was because they didn't want to, because they did not have a love for country, or whether they couldn't, because we had a record number of obesity rates, mental health issues, drug use, so on and so forth. Are we starting to see that turn around, and are you optimistic about moving forward?
Well, absolutely. It's turning around, and I'm optimistic. And I think it shows not only in the military, but in so many other areas of life that when you try to social engineer and not pursue what your objectives and goals are, that it discourages people from wanting to participate because the military, the goals are pretty simple, to help protect the country, to win the wars as necessary. And when you go in and social engineer that and divert that attention, it discourages people from wanting to participate.
Yeah. Are we getting back, do you think, are we winning back the ones that maybe walked away from the military during the COVID pandemic, forcing them to get the vaccine that some didn't want to get? And if you didn't get it, boom, you were out. We've tried to welcome up and open up the doors for them to come back. Are they coming back? And is that trust being rebuilt, do you think?
Well, I think so because of the leadership that we now have between Secretary of War Hegseth and President Trump. I believe they feel like the leadership will have their back. And that's the other thing that's so important because you don't want to be in and hung out to dry someplace and have poor leadership that doesn't have your back when you really need them to. People don't want to sign up for that.
No, that's very true. Is it true? I saw a rumor that right now we are at a near record low of the number of veterans in this nation. Is that true? Are we seeing a decrease, at least in some degree, of veterans in the country?
Well, I think we are primarily because the World War II generation is passing in front of our eyes, and since then the numbers we've had have been smaller, even when we've had a successful military. So I think that will happen naturally.
Yeah.
But I think that there's going to be a buildup now as we protect and preserve our sovereignty and eliminate this threat of globalism that's been hanging over us the last several years.
Yeah, it's a really great point. I didn't even think about that with that generation, and that is sad because that was really the last fight that we had seen against the idea of communism, against fascism, against Nazism. We fought that. That's what America's all about. And while they try to throw a lot of these terms out in the political discourse today, it's really unfortunate because it's just factually not true and just completely inaccurate. But we've forgotten what those terms actually mean. In fact, I had just seen a headline, I think this past week, that one of the last Holocaust survivors just passed away. I mean, Richard, we don't know the true meaning of what Nazism and fascism really looked like. That was the generation, and they were screaming at the top of their lungs that, hey, America needs to be warned about the direction that we're going and the path that we're going down, don't we?
Well, yes, and we see people who've come to the United States legally from other countries that were communist, and they're trying to warn us now. They're trying to stand up and speak and be heard, but they're not very often, but they've experienced it firsthand, and woe be to us if we don't listen to their warnings and succumb to this. It's up to us. My great mentor and friend, the late John Ben Shepherd, said, to be born free is an accident. To live free is a responsibility, but to die free is an obligation. It's our responsibility now to preserve the freedom of the gift that we've been given.
I like that. That's a really great quote. I'm going to have to use that here on the program. We're hanging out with Richard Battle, author of the book Americans Who Made America, 19th Century Growth, Division, and Reunification. You can find that book and so many other books that he has on his website at richardbattle.com. Are we getting better, Richard, with, and I know the whole government shutdown not including that, but looking over the past few years under the Trump administration in general, are we getting better at helping veterans that are in need in this nation with their health care needs, with homeless problems, with drug problems, with PTSD, or whatever issues that they're going through? We've had a long battle that we've been trying to deal with this issue for a while. Are we getting better at addressing this?
Well, I think so, and the reason why is generally with government and bureaucracies, all they focus on is process.
Yeah.
And I think President Trump focuses on results and get to heck with the process if it doesn't produce results. And he's trying to shortcut things to get them available for veterans much faster than before and get them treatments where they don't get hung up on paperwork and process, which the bureaucrats focus on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. On the same side, I know with RFK Jr., he's been looking at different experimental drugs, possibly even legalizing other things like psychedelic mushrooms, whatever, to help out with brain issues, anxiety, PTSD, depression for veterans. Do you think that's going to be beneficial? Can we start expanding our minds here and actually starting to think about other ways to help service members that have may have gone through some trauma?
Well, and I'm no doctor, nor do I pretend to be one on the radio, but yes, again, it goes back to leadership. It goes back to leadership that wants results and isn't hung up on process and bureaucracy. And there's so many things about Dr. Fauci and his reign and how they had approved drugs that they got royalties for and didn't approve drugs they didn't get royalties for, and that whole administration seemed to be primarily going after making money for themselves and not taking care of the public. And I hope that this administration will do things that will take care of the public and get them fast-tracked.
Yeah, we're on the turnaround, which is really nice. Richard, we got just a couple minutes left here. I know you're a busy guy. You're actually at the airport right now. Is the airport almost like back to normal now that we're trying to open up the government? Are you seeing a lot of delays, or what's the status of all that right now?
Well, I don't see any delays right now. I know friends that flew yesterday had delays, and I'm hoping there are no delays today. But once they get this process done and get things back open, hopefully they can get these other 9 bills done in regular order, since we've not had a regular budget passed since 1997. So it's overdue.
That is very overdue. That is for sure. Real quickly, in the last minute or two that we have here, you guys in Texas actually had a relatively decent voter result on Tuesday last week. While the rest of the nation, we saw Zoran Mamdani, we saw Jay Jones, we saw the governor of Virginia and New Jersey, we saw Prop 50 in California with their redistricting. Texas actually had a pretty good night on election night Tuesday last week when you guys were able to actually pass your permanentizing of certain tax cuts and a few other issues. So overall, with all your propositions that you had, you guys did relatively well down there, it sounds like.
Well, I think so, and I think people shouldn't panic over what happened the other day, because most of the big results were in blue states. The margins may have been bigger, but I think it also says that President Trump is not only the leader of the party, but it's going to be important for him to pick people and help market them in the midterm elections. And I think that will make a huge difference if he's out there saying, this person can help me with this America First agenda. I need you to vote for them. And I think that will help the party, whereas he didn't do as much of that this election.
Yeah. Is it concerning to you that Gavin Newsom wanted to rub it in your guys' face after Prop 50 passed in California to do a rally in Houston to come down and say, we're going to gerrymander and wipe away all the wins that you guys had in Texas?
Well, I think the funny part about it is they have a state law in California that California state government employees cannot come to Texas on a business trip and get reimbursed. And so I'm wondering if Gavin Newsom filed an expense report for that trip or paid for it out of his own pocket.
That's a really great point. I forgot about that. Any state that didn't align with what they liked, they were cutting them off from state-funded travel. I forgot about that, Bill. That's hilarious. So, yeah, you're right. I hope he actually paid for that out of his own pocket. He can afford it, right? He's part of the Hollywood elite.
Well, absolutely. He's part of the ruling class elite in California for sure.
What a mess. I love it. It is Americans who made America, 19th century growth, division, and reunification. We need to see that reunification back in this nation. We need to see the Americans rise up and challenge the status quo and to fight for what's right. I am optimistic we're going to see that in the midterms next year. RichardBattle.com is the website. Richard, happy Veterans Day to you guys down there. We appreciate it very much. Let's get you back on again soon.
Thank you. Happy Veterans Day, and God bless America.
Hey, God bless America. We love it. Richard Battle, we appreciate him. He's in the airport doing his thing, so we appreciate him taking some time with us. Got to take a break. We'll get some other big issues going on today right around the corner for a Tuesday. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
Americans for Prosperity would like to congratulate President Trump and Congress for passing the One Big Beautiful Bill. This historic win makes tax cuts permanent, strengthens the middle class, supports border security, and unleashes American energy. Americans for Prosperity, the voice of everyday Americans, is proud to have helped make it happen. With over 1,500 meetings on Capitol Hill, 500,000 doors knocked nationwide, more than 475,000 phone calls, 725 plus community events, and over 100,000 letters sent. AFP's activists were on the ground, in the media, and at the Capitol, standing with the people who make America work.
What a great comeback for the American economy. We see all kinds of economic indicators showing that America is back.
Back to growth, back to opportunity, and back to building a stronger America. The One Big Beautiful Bill is now law, and AFP is excited about what's next.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
If you see a veteran of our nation's armed forces, if you know somebody in your family, give them a call and say thank you. I heard already this morning from my mother-in-law who sent me a message early California time, and it touched my heart. Just knowing that we have loved ones who recognize our service, who care about it, and who care enough to go out and say thank you. So to the American people, if we want to keep on ensuring that the very best and brightest sign up for our military, the very best way to do it is to make sure that the veterans know that we are grateful to them.
Boom, that's what it is. Vice President J.D. Vance giving his salute to the veterans on Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to you as we continue on with the recognition and celebration. Thanks again to Richard Battle coming on the program as we chat about the American spirits. And I am optimistic about not only the veterans, the future veterans of this nation, and of course, the average American that is making American great because we can, and that's what we do, baby. Yeah! That was probably the most patriotic thing we've ever done on this program, and I love it. I want to tell you about, speaking of, as we talk about ways that we can make America great, we can stand up, we can make that happen. That's why we have our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. They have their campaign going on right now. That is the Take One Small Step campaign. TakeOneSmallStep.com. TakeOneSmallStep.com. You can go and check out the website. It is the history. It is the education that we get to learn about Americans that made America great, rising up to challenge the challenges of their times and battling those and carving out what America is today, which is what we need to learn about. No more of the woke history, no more of the negative history that we need to learn about how evil everybody was and how bad it is and how everybody's a victim. We don't want to hear that. We want to hear about the patriotic, positive stories of this country and why we are the greatest nation on the face of the earth. You can learn it all throughout next year during America's 250th birthday at TakeOneSmallStep.com and our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. There we are. All right, there is a lot to talk about today outside of just Veterans Day. The government shutdown working to be potentially opened by tomorrow. When we come back from the break, we'll chat about that in a moment because now the crumbling of the Democrat Party begins. And I don't say that just to rag on the Democrat Party. I say that because I'm a guy who likes just psychologically, I guess. I'd like to watch how parties operate, how political parties and political organizations operate. And right now, there is a struggle to figure out what the heck's going on among the Democrat Party. They have some that just finally gave up, and you can't come back from that. When you finally cave and you say, all right, we need to open up the government. All right, we have to work with Republicans. For the longest time, they were telling us it was Donald Trump shutdown. He's the one that wasn't funding SNAP. He's the one that wasn't funding the FAA. He's the one that was cutting all these programs. He's the one keeping the government shut. He's the one that's not negotiating. He's the one that's not coming in a bipartisan manner. They told us that through the last, 40 days, 41 days, the government's been shut down. And then all of a sudden, Democrats like, well, all right, we get 8 of them to vote, and boom, guess what? The government opens. So how can you say it's a Donald Trump government shutdown when you finally say, oh, Democrats caved and opened up the government? It's kind of weird to me. So I want to talk about where the state of the party is. There are more Democrats that are starting to speak out, and now there's an article out that says Democrats have 2 directions that they can go going into midterm elections, because while they had some momentum from the election last week, they've now lost all of that momentum with the infighting of the party itself. So do they begin working more with Republicans in a bipartisan manner to get things done and hopefully get a bit of their agenda across, or do they double down? Do they fight even harder against Republicans and Donald Trump? And which base are they going to play to? The average American that just wants to see results from policy, they want to see the government function the way that it's supposed to function, or are they going to double down and fight even harder against Donald Trump and double down on the authoritarianism, the Nazism, the fascism, the racism, the fill in the blank, whatever derogatory term that they want to use against Donald Trump? I have my speculation, and I think you do too. You only need a couple options there, and you know which direction they're going to go. Unfortunately, which would be the rational way and which is going to be the realistic way. We'll break some of that down. Also, Donald Trump doubling down on the tariffs, that we could be getting money in and we could be paying down the debt in a pretty substantial way. We'll talk about all that and more right around the corner. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. The Hoosier Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hoosier Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest, from politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hoosier Media Network, you can enjoy great podcast programs like Safe Space with Cheyenne.
So, Hans, how did you come up with doing the illustrations with all of the spiritual talks?
Well, again, I've been studying spiritual path ever. I was a young person. I didn't believe what the churches were teaching us, and it was only later when I came across the material like Edgar Casey when I realized that Christ actually was teaching reincarnation. And that is a very important element. Suddenly, the moment I understood this is a part of the true Christian teachings, suddenly everything makes sense. Why are people sick? Why are people happy? Why are poor? Etc. Suddenly, it makes sense. It's all related to previous lifetimes and our actions is sowing and reaping principle. So this made a lot of sense to me, and I followed it more and more through. And over the years, I've studied many wonderful teachers. And just only 10 years ago, I started to put this into short videos, which I illustrate, because I am an illustrator and writer of children's books mostly, also for all other ages. So I use my gift as an illustrator to show it and how the dots always connect. For me, it helped a lot. If I get some IKEA furniture to put together and have to read how to put it together, I wouldn't understand it. But if they make drawings that this part belongs to this part and this part, then I can do it and then I understand it. And I think other people are very similar, that once you see how everything connects, how karma works, how reincarnation works, and when you visually see it, then suddenly it becomes so much clearer. We can talk about reincarnation, we can talk karma and suicide and so on, but visually seeing how it all works out and how it all connects is a very different story. And they have become very popular over the years. As I said, these videos are totally free. This is not my main line. My main line is still writing and illustrating my books. Mm-hmm. I do this to share this with other people because I remember how when I was young and I was desperately looking for some information on these topics, and there was hardly anything available at that time. Now today we have YouTubes. When I started off, of course today I would take TikTok, but it's difficult to squeeze it into 1 minute, what I have to share usually over 5 to 10 minutes. And so I did this video to reach mostly young people because the attention span is only a few minutes anyway, so I had to make it very short. And I Einstein's famous quote that if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you haven't understood it yourself. So I really have to make it very clear to myself that I understand it. And I'm learning through doing this, doing my series. I'm learning, I understand, suddenly this all makes sense. And that's basically what I do. And I share this for free. You have to join, nothing. They're available. I merely offer this. I have zero interest to convince anybody that what I share is right for them or for anybody. I'm only sharing it and I leave it up to you. So I fully respect other people's beliefs that they don't share mine. And I have, as I said, no need. If you don't like it, that's fine with me too. So that's where I come from. And that is the basic story of my videos on lifeexplained.com.
Well, you are doing what you should be doing, because those videos found me and a few of my friends, and it's definitely what I needed to be educated on and the way I needed to be educated. So I appreciate you breaking it down. I know there's the Greg Bradens of the world, right, that are going to teach us about human chromosome 2 and the gamma state and compassion and heart and brain coherence and all of that fun stuff. But I really, really enjoy having it broken down into a very, very, I always say, let me go back to kindergarten. I'm like, let's go back to Sesame Street. Take me back there and build me up there. So that was one of my favorite things about finding your videos. So today I did bring you on to talk about the heavy-hitting topic of suicide. And I reached out to you specifically because, of course, I watched your 8-minute video of how you explain it. And I want you to release the suffering of anybody that could potentially come across our episode today.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, reason, common sense, rationale. It's what we do here on this program each and every day. It is your post-Monday celebration. It is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to you. And, of course, it is the greatest day of the entire week. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. It's what we do here on this program. By the way, if you want more information on the show, I probably don't give out this information often enough. So if you want, you can go to the website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. Like the state of Indiana, the Indiana Hoosiers, but with no I in it. Hooser Reason, HooserReason.com. Our social media has the same handle at Hooser Reason, and you can follow that. Also, if you want the podcast, just search The Voice of Reason on any of your favorite podcasting sites, The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser, and you can find that. We are growing pretty exponentially on podcasting, which is really cool. So thank you for that. You guys have been following and tracking us and downloading the shows. We thank you very much. And we have some new affiliates coming on board. We're just growing all over the place, man, which is really, really kind of cool. All right, let's get into it here, shall we? There's plenty to talk about. Donald Trump sitting down with Fox. And before we get into the government shutdown, I'm still torn on the whole tariff issue on where we're at with this. Donald Trump sitting down saying this.
People saying they're anxious about the economy. Why are they saying that?
I don't know that they are saying. I think polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We will have over $20 trillion come into our economy, and it's largely because of my election, but it's also largely because of tariffs.
So hold on, before we go further, $20 trillion, that's with a T. It's what he said, according to the interview he did with Fox News and Laura Ingraham. Now, if you read the post on social media a day or two ago that said he's going to be giving out $2,000 checks per individual, so I'm assuming $4,000 checks a family, theoretically, potentially, for these rebates or for the giveaway because of all this money coming in from tariffs and substantially paying down the federal debt. Now, we have a spending problem, and I think we recognize that. And while Rand Paul's been getting a lot of crap lately for voting against every single bill that's potentially out there, he's been very consistent. For example, him on the House side, Thomas Massey on the House side, Rand Paul on the Senate side. They've both been very consistent with what they stand for. They don't want to see government grow in spending. And right now, while we saw a win with the government shutdown, because we didn't include, again, $1.5 trillion in spending the Democrats wanted for the subsidies for Obamacare, for public broadcasting, again, for lots of the garbage that they wanted to include, that essentially we just got rid of in the one big beautiful bill that was signed back on 4th of July, that while we were able to fight that off, we're still defending a $7 trillion federal budget that we have yet to even get rid of the $2 trillion in additional spending that came on during the Biden administration during the COVID-19 pandemic. It should be a $5 trillion budget, and that's still way too much. Right now, the win is that we're still bankrupting the nation by spending more than $2 trillion above what we need to on a regular basis. That's the win Republicans just got. So we have a spending problem. And I've said it before, I think that Donald Trump and Republicans missed a huge opportunity during the shutdown by firing a lot more federal employees, by cutting a lot more of the federal agencies, by reforming a lot of how government operates and punting things back down to a statewide level. We had a huge opportunity here. We didn't do it, but we still won it. Overall, we're still in a net gain overall because Democrats didn't get what they wanted. We still fired a lot of federal employees. Not all of them are coming back. So we moved slightly in the right direction, but we have a long ways to go. Now, that being said, let's just say, even if we wipe out the $38 trillion in a federal debt that we have, how quickly is that going to rack back up? We're growing at an exponential $2 trillion a year more than what we need to be spending. So even if we wipe out, this is almost like if you have a family household and you have, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000 in debt, and you're living off of credit cards. You're not living with the outside, or you're living outside of your means. You're not living within a personal budget. And someone comes in and says, cool, I'm going to wipe out your debt. You won the lottery, you made $50,000, you made $100,000. You wipe out your personal debt. Cool, that's great, but you haven't changed anything. You haven't changed how you actually operate as a nation. Donald Trump's got some ideas that I'll be very forward with. I do not agree with, and he's talking about different financial ideas. Number one is, cool, we have these tariffs coming in. And I've been against tariffs for a long time, never understood why we want to use the carrot, or why we want to use the stick and not the carrot, and try to incentivize businesses to come here, which he's been doing. But I understand the temporary tariff conversation. Now he's starting to make it, hey, we're making so much money here, we can start paying things off and rearrange the entire economy. I'm open to hearing it. I'm still somewhat skeptical, but at the same time, we have a spending problem. What does that really solve if we're still spending more money than what we're actually bringing in, like a personal budget? There's a problem that we have to address on that front. Number two, I don't know if you've heard the issue that now he's advocating for an extension of from 30-year mortgages to a 50-year mortgage, and from a 5-year auto loan to a 15-year auto loan. To me, I'm not a fan. First off, government should be involved in any of that. In the first place, that's a private market issue, depending on what these companies that are and banks that are willing to loan out the money are comfortable in doing. I don't know if they would actually make money. Well, I guess they would make a lot of money if they're jacking up the interest rates for banks to lend out 15-year auto loans or 50-year mortgages. You're never going to get out of that. But just like the federal government, you and I as the consumer, we have a serious problem. We have a serious financial problem, and I don't mean to be like all Dave Ramsey on you, but at the same time, I just saw a study today that said that wealthier individuals that are even bordering millionaires, 40% of them are still living paycheck to paycheck. Like, what are we doing?
Say what?
Because we've gotten to this world now where everything's about a monthly payment. Well, I can do my lease, I can do my mortgage, I can do my car payment, I can do these credit card payments. I'm just going to live, and as long as I can cover the monthly payments, then I'm totally fine. And then they rack up and they build and they slowly build and they slowly rack up. And then we have this serious problem. And look, I'm the last one to talk about it because I'm still battling. I think I've got it down now to about $30,000, $40,000, but my student loans are killing me. And I got out of college how many years ago? And I'm still trying to deal with that garbage. Luckily, we don't have a whole lot of credit card debt. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have car payments, although cars are starting to fall apart a little bit. So that's something we have to look at. But I swore that we would never go down that road. And especially after our, down the personal story, that after we filed medical bankruptcy a few years ago, because of my wife being really sick, that we would never be in that situation again. That we would never have to live in that type of situation again, because we would never put our family through something like that again. But we have to deal with this on a two-tiered level. We have to pay off the federal debt. If Donald Trump truly can make $20 trillion off of tariffs, and right now with the lingering battle with the Supreme Court, and whether he's allowed to do that in the first place, he's positioned himself beautifully with it, by the way, with the tariffs by saying, hey, this is a revenue source for the government. We can start relying on that and less so on federal taxes from individuals. We can transition the economy. And he's really making a hard PR push while the Supreme Court's looking at this issue on how pertinent tariffs really are. And I'm open to the idea of tariffs if we see the actual relief coming from somewhere else. If he says we're going to go back to like we were before federal income tax, before World War II, early 1900s, when we had more tariffs coming in that paid for the majority of government operations, we don't have to rely on federal income tax or other type of taxes. If we're able to transition that way, that's awesome. Well done. Go for it, baby. Make it happen. Now, that being said, that was at a point when the government was very small and we were living off the size of government was roughly 3% of the GDP. We didn't have the bureaucratic agencies. We didn't have the fourth branch of government. We didn't have all these departments to fund. So now the government is insanely large and he's going to have to find a lot of revenue to make something like that happen. But if he's able to do it, I mean, I'm open to the idea, and then we can afford these slightly higher prices of the goods that come in because of the tariffs, because we don't have any taxes. We don't have any federal income tax. I'm open to that idea. What I'm not open to is a 50-year mortgage. That's insane. And a 15-year auto loan. By that time, your car's already broken down anyways. You're never going to not have a car payment. That's kind of insane to me. But he's got some ideas here.
We will have over $20 trillion come into our economy, and it's largely because of my election, but it's also largely because of tariffs. Even the tariff thing, it's such a disgrace. I'm watching them saying, well, no money would have to be paid back because it's not that much. It's trillions and trillions of dollars would have to be paid back.
If the Supreme Court rules against the tariffs.
It would be a disaster for our country. Now, will I do something? I'll figure something out because I do. That's what I do in life. I figure things out. But it's so... President Xi was willing to do the rare earth thing, that's magnets. Now, nobody knows what a magnet is. If you don't have a magnet, you don't make a car. You don't make a computer. You don't make televisions and radios and all the other things. You don't make anything. It's a 30-year effort to monopolize a very important thing. Now, within 2 years, we'll have magnets, all the magnets we want, but we don't. Because of tariffs, I called. I said, listen, here's the story. You're going to play the magnet. I'm going to play the tariff on you. And for national security purposes, I raised the tariff by 100% over and above what they were paying, which was 55. So he was at 155%. Within 10 minutes, I got a call. We'd like to meet. And we settled it out, and we made a wonderful deal, great deal for our country.
Look, I get it. Okay, so that's his negotiation with the nation of China. I get it. There's been a lot of stories running around there, floating out. Maybe they're bots, maybe they're those trying to cause the issues, the rift within the Republican Party, saying that Donald Trump spent way too much time and is focusing way too much attention on global issues and not focusing on the America First agenda. I disagree with that. I think that he is focusing on America first, and one way we focus on America first is making sure that the rest of the world recognizes that we're focusing on our interests, because it is a global economy, whether we like it or not. There's a lot of global trade that goes on, and the currencies depend on what the value of the dollar is doing, depending on what we do as a nation with trade, with negotiations, with tariffs, and our dollars. So it is a global economy, and he's been focusing on the strength of America outwardly, so we can address the nation inwardly, which we're trying to work on 2 steps. And I think he's doing a good job of that personally. And I really hope the Supreme Court makes the right decision, allowing him to keep the tariffs going, in the sense that we want them to either be temporary to where we can get better trade deals and make the money we need to, or we supplement that with federal income tax and we do a transition. One way or the other, we got to see something change.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
Oh, hey, sorry, I was just enjoying one of my snacks during the break. You know, it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives, but I'm here to tell you that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Sir, what lessons do you think the Democrats should learn from this shutdown saga?
Well, the country loses a lot of money when they do this, and they're not getting much, but nobody gets a lot, but it's terrible. What they really wanted was $1.5 trillion for people that came in illegally, people that came in through and out of prisons. You know, we had, like Venezuela, they dumped their prisons.
They said that was all exaggerated by you.
Oh, yeah, I know, it's exaggerated. They wanted $1.5 trillion for health care from people that were, in some cases, 11,888 exactly murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. So they came into our country, they poured into our country, and they want to take care, and we're trying to get them out because we don't want 11,000 murderers in our country. You don't want it. Nobody wants it. And we have drug dealers and we have everything else, and they want to make sure they get good health care. That's not what our country's about. And it would have hurt other people's health care.
All right, so President, I love when he throws out exact numbers. 11,888 murders of illegal aliens and murderers and everybody else. They're going to cover them with the health care. I love when he throws out specific numbers. Look, I know that some say that he's focusing too much on the global issue. I know that they're upset with the tariffs. I know that right now we are still, and people hate this term, I get it, in a transitional economy. But right now we really are. I mean, we really are. We are transferring from the public sector to the private sector. The firing of federal employees, which Democrats are losing their minds over, which is what we saw during the government shutdown. Reforming Obamacare. In fact, I had just seen a post, and we'll talk about it probably tomorrow because we're short on time today. Senator Roger Marshall, my senator here from the great state of Kansas, saying that apparently in December, they're going to be voting on some major health care reforms, including ending subsidies to insurance companies. Yeah.
Say what?
I was going to say pharmaceutical companies. That's a work in progress. But the major insurance companies, they're going to be cutting out billions of dollars of subsidies to them, which means we're solely going to start transitioning back into a private sector healthcare system, the way that it was supposed to be done, getting government out of it, creating competition, making people have the ability to choose their own plans, and doing it without the government assistance. Healthcare insurance companies better either have a good product and a good price, or they go out of business. Period. End of story. It's not that difficult. So, the way things are supposed to be, apparently that conversation is going to be had in the month of December. At the same time, John Thune did make a promise to Democrats during this government reopening that they will have a chance to vote on the extensions for the ACA benefits and the subsidies, but that's just a promise to vote. More than likely, it's not going to happen. Not sure many Republicans that would go along with it, maybe except for like Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins or someone who's wanted to keep those in prior bills, but very few Republicans would want to keep something like that going. It's not going to go through the House, so dead on arrival. So, yeah, have your vote. Cool. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything. And if you try to shut the government down in January again, then number one, that's going to look really, really bad for the kickoff of midterm election season for politicians looking to try and go on the campaign trail and talk about what they've done. And if they do extend the SNAP benefits, and some of the other issues that they want to extend through the end of the fiscal year, which is September, then they lose all leverage. So good luck with that. We can finish the appropriations process. We can pass a federal budget in January, which is a record compared to how long it takes government to usually do something like that. And if Donald Trump's economy starts to turn around the way it's supposed to, if the Supreme Court allows him to keep doing the tariffs that he's doing, if the Supreme Court decides with him on cutting federal employees, if we're allowed to start transitioning this economy the way it's supposed to, get ready, man. I mean, it takes a good year for a transitional economy, for an administration to start seeing their effects actually take hold. And with the investments that we've seen, we're going to see things really come in big league.
And I think we're going to make it big league.
And I think Democrats are starting to recognize that, which is why we see this internal battle of the Democrat Party. John Fetterman, one of the more rational voices in the Democrat Party right now on Fox News, and said that he's really ashamed of how this all just kind of played out.
I think my party crossed a line of now putting 42 million Americans with their SNAP benefits and making flying less safe and that kinds of chaos and not paying our military. I mean, that was a red line for me that I can't cross as a Democrat. And I think that's been described country over the party. And now that I think that's been the truth throughout it. And it's only wrong to shut our government down, and I'm relieved. But the people now that are going to get paid and fed and millions of Americans, they're going to be flying now. That's going to be made more safe and restored.
That's going to be better. Now, 2 points real quick. Number one, we have to transition away from relying on the government to do that all in the first place. And number two, Democrats now have a choice. Do you either work with the Trump administration realizing you don't have the leverage that you thought you did, or do you put up the wall and try to pander to the radical, vocal, very minute part of your party that's now becoming the dominant part of your party, or do you actually work with us? It's your choice, but it's up to you because we're just going to continue to do our thing and make America great again. Happy Veterans Day. We'll see you back on the radio tomorrow. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast, become your own voice of reason, and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website, or social media